Joining us now in the studio, CTV's Rob Malcolm. Rob, what can you tell us?
Well, Dan, that couple appeared to be unfazed by all this media attention. They walked out of the London courtroom hand in hand, only telling reporters their lawyers told them to say very little and not to comment. Now, due to Canada's child protection laws, their identities were concealed to protect the 10-year-old boy. Now, the pair faced charges of forcible confinement and failing to provide the necessities of life. While in court today, they had the help from a Korean interpreter and a friend. Out on bail, strict conditions were handed down today from the court. Their lawyers spoke about some of those conditions.
One of them is that these people would surrender a passport. They tell me they already have, and so that's not an issue, and that they won't apply to leave Canada till this case is over. They agree. And so I was saying to the court, we agree to that.
The case came to light in May when, acting on a tip from the public, police and the Children's Aid Society investigated this home in the southeast area of London. They found the boy malnourished and underweight with long hair. He was allegedly locked in a bedroom for up to 18 to 24 months, living in squalor. His pajamas were soaked in urine. Containers of fast food and garbage were also found in the room. And since that horrific discovery, the boy has been in the care of the Children's Aid Society, who now say he's doing very well.
And I think he's defying all expectations of how well he would be doing given the circumstances that he was in. He's currently in a foster home. We're exploring opportunities for him to perhaps get involved in some community activities, and he continues to talk about school in the fall.
Just a remarkable and tragic case, Dan. The boy has never been to school and he speaks minimal English. The couple make their next court appearance in 2 weeks on July 24th. Dan.
CTV's Rob Malcolm. Thanks very much, Rob.
All right. Seizing control, Sunni militants announced they're setting up an Islamic State in portions of Syria and Iraq as Iraqi troops wage an assault to take back Tikrit. Rob Ford returns to Toronto City Hall tomorrow. A slimmed-down Mayor Ford was spotted in a clothing store posing for pictures with shoppers. World Pride swells in Toronto, a sea of waving flags as a pride parade winds its way through the downtown core. Hello and thanks for joining us. Welcome to CTV News Channel. I'm Rob Malcolm. Well, Iraqi gunships have started fighting insurgents in Saddam Hussein's hometown of Tikrit with the help of some Russian air power. In the biggest push yet, Iraq's army also sent tanks and troops into the city. It's one of two areas overrun by Sunni militants who want to create an Islamic State across the Middle East. CTV's Joy Malbon has more from Washington.
On Iraqi.
Joining us now, Christopher Swift. He's an adjunct professor of national security studies at Georgetown University. He joins us from Washington. Christopher, thank you for this.
Good to be back, Rob. How are you tonight?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Well, let's start off. Iraqi forces are making progress in their counteroffensive against ISIS. Can they maintain control of the territory?
Well, it's yet to be seen.
Now, Iraq received a delivery of Russian fighter jets. These are second-hand fighter jets. Now, how will this air power help in their battle against the militants?
Sure, the fighters in question.
So that begs the question. I mean, you say they're 40 years old. I mean, how capable are they?
Well, they're relatively capable.
All right, let's talk about ISIS. Ever evolving. Now they're going by a new name. They're calling themselves the Islamic State. Now, does this make sense based on the gains they've made in terms of the territory they've seized?
Well, it's really more of a propaganda move. Look, Al-Qaeda.
Is this a win-lose situation for the U.S.? There's so much opposition to the U.S., even sending the 300 military advisors over there.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's win-lose for the United States.
To the U.S. now, gunfire broke out in one of America's busiest tourist areas overnight. The usually busy Bourbon Street in New Orleans was cordoned off as police searched for a suspect. 9 people were injured, 2 critically, after shots rang out in the heart of the French Quarter. Witnesses say the gunman targeted one person and then began firing into the crowd. The suspect remains at large. Parts of the prairies have declared states of emergency after heavy rain and extreme wind left some communities waterlogged, disrupting life for people and also animals.
Are you okay, little buddy?
The little beaver was spotted scurrying down the road in Brandon, Manitoba, one of the affected communities hit by the overland flooding. In Dauphin, Manitoba, flooding closed roads and made for a makeshift wading pool. Southeast Saskatchewan is also seeing high levels of rain. Highways have been washed out in some communities, forcing authorities to declare a state of emergency there. An elderly woman is dead following a house fire in southern Ontario's Seguin Township. 2 other residents, a man and a woman, are also in hospital with life-threatening injuries. All 3 live together and were longtime residents of the home. The investigation is now focusing on the central part of that house. Well, the BC Labour Relations Board has ordered some striking high school teachers back to the classroom. This would be for summer school, but as CTV's John Woodward explains, it's not clear how many students will show up.
It's all quiet.
Back to Ontario now. Toronto's Mayor Rob Ford will be back on the job tomorrow after spending 2 months in a treatment facility to deal with alcohol abuse. A much slimmer Ford was spotted in a Moore's clothing store north of Toronto on Saturday afternoon. Photos of the mayor posing with shoppers were posted to social media. Mayor Ford is expected to hold a news conference tomorrow. Marcel Weider is a political consultant and president of Aurora Strategy Group. He joins us now from Toronto. Marcel, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And Marcel, earlier in the week, Rob Ford was still polling at about 27%, which put him in second place behind Olivia Chow. Are you surprised by this, or should we all be surprised by this?
Not really. We just came.
So Ford speaks on Monday. What do you expect to hear?
Well, if he really was in rehab and went through the 12.
Now, is the simplicity of his campaign message enough to effectively distract people from all the controversy that surrounded him?
He is really the only fiscal message to send to Torontonians who are very concerned about how things are spent in their city.
All right. Thank you so much. Marcel Weider, political consultant. I guess we'll watch, wait, and listen on Monday.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for this. Still on the polls now, voters in Alberta and Ontario will go to the polls in 4 federal by-elections tomorrow. In Alberta, the Tory strongholds of Fort McMurray and Athabasca and Macleod are up for grabs. In Ontario, new members of parliament will be elected in Scarborough, Agincourt, and Trinity Spadina. Olivia Chow vacated the Trinity Spadina riding to run for mayor of Toronto. New Democrat leader Tom Mulcair tried to drum up support for Joe Cressy, who is expecting a strong battle with Liberal candidate Adam Vaughan. Coming up, they're dancing in the streets of Toronto as the city turned into a rainbow of colors for the World Pride Parade. Highlights after the break.